Ready to do a 15-minute Friday?
Let's do it.
Let's make it happen. So, welcome everybody to the What You Don't Hear podcast. This is a 15-minute Friday where myself and a returning guest sit down one more time, but this time talking about a specific topic or subject with the goal or the hope of sending you into your weekend, your upcoming week with some positive, actionable, or thought-provoking advice and opinion. Back on the show, Gabby Garcia. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being down. You came back. Whenever someone comes back on the show, I'm always the most excited because that means at least our first conversation was pretty good.
Totally.
Like it was good. And even in that first conversation, even though we talked for a long time, we talked a lot more about you and your life in general. But I also knew that there was so much more stuff that we could dive into with everything you do with holistic health and health coaching in general and all that sort of stuff. And I think I told you at the end of that recording session, I was like, I do these things called 15-minute Fridays, and I think you'd be perfect for them. So will you come back? And here we are.
Here we are.
Ready to make one happen. And here's the thing. I continuously do this. I've done so many 15-minute Fridays.
No timer.
I continuously never pull the timer out. And then we just start talking. And then I'm like, oh, whoops. I'm supposed to be doing this for the theme of the show. So I'm going to start the clock 15 minutes building up. So the topic of this episode is, in general, like, where does someone get started? How does someone get started on their wellness journey, on their health journey? So I'm going to toss the floor to you. So if I were sitting down and I literally was like, Gabby, I don't know what to do, but I want to start down this road of better health and just health habits in general, what are you leading off with? Like, what are we starting this conversation with?
This is definitely something that I get asked a lot by like friends and family. And I came up with 5 key, I think, actionable steps to get started. Number 1 being morning routine for sure. How you set the tone for your day is incredibly important. For example, my morning routine is something along the lines of taking out the dogs, meditating, going on a walk with the dogs, morning water, or I guess it's obviously in the morning, warm water with lemon. That's like my go-to. It's like my staple.
I saw you post about that the other day. I'm interrupting your list, and I'm so sorry.
No, please.
What, actually finish your list, and then I'll ask you the question, because we're going to trail off probably.
And then if I have time, depending on if I set my alarm or, I have a cat. Well, I have 2 cats, but one of them is my inherent alarm. He knows exactly when breakfast time is.
Fair.
And so if I get up in time to have time to journal after doing all of those things, then I'll free write like 3 full pages, brain dump basically, get everything out, and then have breakfast and go about my day.
So this is probably a dumb question to some people listening. And I know a little bit, but I want you to tell me everything. Like, what's the key to like lemon and water? Like because I've always seen that, and I'm like, okay, that's clearly like a healthy thing to do. But like, what is it? What is it about putting lemon in water that I don't know makes it better for you? Like,
mainly, it really stimulates like your digestion, get that going. Because ideally, within like 20 to 30 minutes of waking up, you want to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And so that helps. Some people put like ginger in it, and some people, if you can't handle like vitamin C or not vitamin C, lemon, like with citrus, put in a little bit of like apple cider vinegar. That'll help too. It really helps detoxify, but on top of just it tasting delicious and getting your digestion moving, it also gets like a dose of vitamin C.
Okay. I feel like I need to officially start putting lemons in my water.
I think you should try it.
I think I need to do that because it is a thing that like I said, I've seen so many people kind of do for years, and I've always been like, oh, I'll do that at some point, and then I just never think about it ever. And I think we were talking before we were recording, and I kind of shared my morning routine with you, which was wake up, and I do drink water immediately when I wake up.
Good.
And
That's a
I
good start.
actually started hearing you say the bathroom thing of like you should within the time frame of after waking up. That has actually been a thing that I have begun to implement in my morning routine.
Wonderful.
So hearing you confirm it, I'm like, all right,
great.
That's good. I'm on the right track.
Your morning routine isn't as bad as you thought it was.
I definitely was like, I don't even know what routine it is. Like, wake up, drink water, bathroom, and then I just leave for the gym. And like the gym is like my cap off to a morning/secretly afternoon routine. That's basically what it is. Am I missing anything in there? Like, would you like, so me telling you that, are you like, okay, you're using the bathroom, you're drinking some water, and then you're heading to the gym, but you should really think about these things?
Meditation, for sure.
Yeah,
That's my number one
I-
thing.
yeah, dude, I talk to so many people, but I just have not. I'm that person, and not to turn this into a meditation episode, I'm that person who I'm just like, I want to do it. I haven't even really made good attempts, but I'm that person who's like, I don't know how I could kind of control my brain or control my thought. You know what I mean? Even to like focus more or to kind of like slow down. Like, I'm definitely still in that zone right now. And honestly, I would say a goal of mine this year is to start meditating.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people get tripped up on. They think meditation is just like you totally like calm your mind and like clear it, and you're just in like this like levitating state
Right, right.
of like perfection and bliss.
Yeah.
Where that is totally not true at all. And I think even the most like formidable meditators constantly have stuff coming in and out of their brain. It's how you react to that. Just you have to more so see the thought and be like, okay, like I see you, I hear you, but this isn't really the time. So I'm going to just push you to the side.
Okay. That is a thing I'm going to have to try and master. Maybe I'll have you back on for a meditation episode.
There you go.
We can talk all about meditation for the 15 minutes.
I could totally talk meditation for 15 minutes.
Perfect. Okay. Noted. You heard it here, folks. There's going to be a future episode with Gabby about meditation. So we were talking about, and clearly water is a great thing, and it's great to have in your morning routine. And that was kind of like your first major thing is like, if you're trying to get started, figure out that morning routine. How much in general on a health journey, and I know the answer is a clear, like, well, yeah, a lot, but explain to us, like, how much of an impact does just water and consuming more water or the right amount of water, like, play overall in someone's, like, wellness journey?
I think it's arguably everything. I mean, our bodies are, like 70% water? I don't even know, honestly. A crazy large amount. And you need all of that water to really have your body moving and like optimally functioning. It needs to feed your cells. It helps you like eliminate toxins. It helps feed everything. It's so important. And if you're constantly dehydrated, once you become more consistently hydrated, if you will, you'll notice almost like immediate differences.
What are signs that you're kind of consistently dehydrated?
I would say probably most likely your urine,
Yeah.
if it's a little too yellow. Headaches, like joint pain, even issues with digestion, things that you wouldn't necessarily think are related. That could just be such a easy step. I tell everyone that you should aim to get half of your body weight in ounces every day. That's kind of like the standard, and is actually 100% one of my tips on where to get started in your wellness journey is drink more water.
Fair. That is, I feel like that is like a for sure clear first step of like, yes, consume more water.
And so easy to do. I think it's just
yeah.
like out of sight, out of mind for a lot of people. I feel like when I worked in the corporate world and like was in an office, that was like my break from my desk was like to go like refill my water. And I would constantly bring it to meetings and everywhere. Like I had my jug or my bottle or whatever. And since being at home, I really struggled with it, especially not having like a specific like liter amount or something that you don't know exactly how much you're drinking.
Right.
So like if you have trouble drinking a lot of water, I would suggest getting like a certain size water bottle. Even those I've seen those giant ones. I'm sure probably from like Amazon or something. That's like, drink this, like keep going, like you're almost there. And it's like
the literal like motivational lines of like, here is all the water you need to drink today.
Yes.
And it literally shows you where you're at in your day. I have seen those. Yes. I used to be relatively bad about drinking water years ago. And then I am very, very happy that I kicked it into gear. And like now the majority of what I drink at a pretty consistent basis is water. And now I'm like, look at me, I'm so healthy. Look at all this water. But the next step, like we talked about at the beginning, I need to add lemon to that water, maybe in the mornings.
Yes.
So Another point, a lot of what we've talked about is the digestive system in this and how all this impacts. And something that you had brought up before we started recording was the connection between the gut and the brain and how that all kind of plays in together and is probably going to be a large contributing factor to someone's health journey, and maybe even something that they don't even really think about. Because I think
Absolutely.
when someone's like, oh, I'm going to go on a health journey, they're like, pile me up with salads and I'll drink some water. And Gabby said, put a lemon in it. Like, I'm good. But not even taking into account, like, obviously there's so many more layers to that. But even the outside of just like the physical realm, like, even though I guess my gut and mind are still physically connected, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I think it's easy to look past that connection and how those two things can actually play a part. Where it's
Totally.
like you're focused on your physical appearance of your body, but there's actually inner workings past just your gut that are going to, have an effect positively at least. So walk me through that. Like how, like even kind of breaking down like the mind gut connection that somebody should keep in mind, like if they're trying to get started.
Totally. And I think that's something that was so long misguided. For a really long time, we thought that it was just like a one-way street. Like our brain was like our central operator, which it really is, but that it feeds all the information down like to the rest of their body, and it wasn't like a two-way street. Turns out it is absolutely a two-way street, and the gut impacts our brain way more than we originally thought. I've read studies recently that have said that up to 90% of our serotonin is made in our gut, which is crazy amount. So that takes me to my number 2 point of where to get started on your health journey is to crowd out processed and inflammatory foods. Because when you eat a lot of processed foods or like conventional oils or sugar, really, some kind of like gluten grains too, if you're affected by gluten, it just basically eats away at your stomach because you can't digest it properly. And so once all of your villi, for lack of a better word, which is line your intestine and your stomach, mainly your intestine, when they become damaged consistently by processed foods and other inflammatory things, your brain can't produce, or I'm sorry, your gut can't produce the things that it needs to feed back to your brain. So those are like serotonin, dopamine, even some like fatty acids that are essential. You can get in like fatty fish, like omega-3s that really help feed your brain. You can't absorb like all of those nutrients. Vitamin D is actually a huge one. Low vitamin D has been linked to dementia in adults. So having that is huge, and can really, really make an impact. Not just your like cognitive function, but in all aspects of mental health too.
So what do you feel like is a big preventer of people getting started on a health journey?
It's a great question. Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is just habits. Old habits die really hard, and people inherently don't like change either. So I think the combination of the two make it difficult, and you just have to have like the fortitude to really like push through. And I think not to like toot my own horn, but the accountability of somebody to help you, like such as a health coach or some kind of practitioner, even like a friend who's gone through a similar thing to help you like walk along and keep you going, is really helpful. But I think changing what you know or what you've thought you've known or you've done for years is really difficult.
Do you feel like a lot of people, like when they're trying to get started on any sort of a health journey, this is another question. I'm like, I feel like I kind of know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Like, do you feel like everybody just tries to do one of two things? Either look for the quick fix or dive in the deep end immediately. And
Yes.
they don't think about the first couple steps to gradually build that consistency to get to
Both.
that habit.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, definitely both. And with like the deep end aspect, I feel like I get a lot of questions about like which supplements should I be taking for this or what probiotic or blah, blah, blah. And all of that's like very good. Like I'm very supplement Like, I love supplements. They're great, and we don't get a lot of supplements or minerals from our food anymore, and I could talk about that too. But to your point, like, there are so many other smaller steps that can make equally big of an impact before you're like, I'm going to change my entire life because of whatever's happening.
I feel like it is always, it's one of those two things. It's like, what's the quick fix? What can change my entire design of my body next week?
Yes.
Or, hey, I read this thing. I'm really stoked about getting healthy right now. So I'm just going to change everything about myself tomorrow.
Yes.
And then I feel like that makes it harder you effectively kind of make it harder on yourself. So then this possibly good thing that you could get to by working towards, you turn into a negative thing.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, well, this sucks. I can't eat any of the things I liked to eat, and I can only eat, this, whatever. Like, and that's what happens, I feel like, when you just dive in the deep end with really anything.
Yeah.
Is everything should be a gradual process, like step by step.
And that goes back to the quick fix, because if you dive into the deep end, you think everything, you're like, oh, I'm going to change all of these habits or whatever, how I eat, and then I'm going to feel so much better. But that, like, is kind of the quick fix at the same time. Like, even, like, from my own perspective, or, like, my family's, that, like, we all know that there is no such thing as a quick fix in, like, the health world, especially, I mean, maybe if you're taking, like, a pharmaceutical, but I advise against that.
Right.
For most things. But, like, even I'll get frustrated that it's like, I'm putting in, like, this effort, but, like, why is nothing changing? You're like, oh, well, just nothing happens overnight. Like,
Right.
just keep, if you know it, like, it's to be true, just keep going.
Gabby, that's our 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. Shoot, I didn't get to everything.
Let's continue to cover everything, though.
Okay.
Because I think I told you this before. I mean, a lot of these 15-minute Fridays, they end up like 25-minute Fridays.
Okay, cool.
So it's fine. So that's what I was about to ask. I was like, man, I feel like we didn't actually hit all the points. So I'm going to let you take it. What are the other main points with this kind of like getting started on a health journey that you want to cover?
So the other main points I have are movement and sleep. When people think of movement, I think they think of, like, hitting the gym, like high intensity cardio, or like weightlifting, or really, I don't know, maybe like what you see in the movies or TV, or like sweat, like really hard workouts.
You're going to go to the butcher shop and punch a meat hanging from a wall.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, as long as you just move your body like 20 minutes every day, you could walk around the block. I'm a big yoga fanatic, so I love to do yoga every day, Pilates. Like, it doesn't have to be intense. You literally just move, dance in your kitchen for 20 minutes. It's something I like to do frequently. Just anything to get it moving is so important. It helps with, like, blood sugar metabolism. I think it helps a lot with mental health. I think studies have shown that. It's really important. And then with sleep, I think people definitely do not get enough sleep.
You could just stare at me while you say that.
I know that you've sent me an email at past 12 a.m. before.
That is true.
It's just so important. It's like your body's reboot system. It's like where your cells regenerate. You need it for every aspect. So sleep is incredibly important, and it's not prioritized in our society.
I sleep from like 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. Is that enough?
That,
or
like,
just an incorrect time frame?
I mean, if that works for you, that might be enough.
It's been working. I don't know.
I think 7 hours is the goal. 8 would obviously be great, but I think 7 is where you should strive for.
Okay, you didn't say that was terrible, so I'm going to stick to that.
Yeah,
that's good.
that's
So I
fine.
can still stay up until 3 a.m., wake up at 10, drink my water with the lemon. I'm on the right track.
All right.
I'm ready to get started. This
As
is
long as
great.
you're not, like, staring at your phone at 2 a.m.
I'm pretty good about that.
Okay.
I'm pretty good about, like, all right, when I'm kind of like on the come down for the day, trying to go to sleep. But however, I am a TV watcher as I fall asleep, which is also probably not a good thing.
No.
Right? Yeah, don't tell me that. No.
Do you
TV
wear
watching
your
is
blue
great.
light glasses? Or...
I sure do, Gabby. I
That'll help.
absolutely do. We all do, right? I think. That, I just feel like in a little bit of time, I genuinely learned so much.
Great.
That is, yes. Thank you so very much for sharing all that. We broke our 15 minutes, but that's okay. Not by too much. So, as we say goodbye and wrap this episode up, if you want to kind of ball everything up into one giant tip, or even if it's you don't want to rehash what we've already said and you want to leave, something with everybody who's listening or watching, what is it that you're leaving everybody with? Of like, hey, this is the main thing I would tell you if you are trying to get started on a health journey in general, this is the thing.
If there's one thing that I could leave you with, I would say to focus on your morning routine out of the 5 things. Which can be like all encompassing. It could include starting your day with water, which I highly suggest. Meditation, which I also highly suggest. And you could also put in 20 minutes around the block with your dog or with a friend or by yourself. And just start off your day, whatever grounds you and makes you feel like you're ready to tackle the rest of your day, I think is great. And I just really encourage people to avoid rushing, just rolling out of bed and rushing to the coffee pod and barely awake and just kind of being a zombie throughout their day. Really work to be intentional, and I think you'll make different choices potentially.
Perfect. Gabby, that's a 15-minute Friday.
Great.
We did it really quick. If anybody wants to come talk to you about any of these things that we just talked about for a while, where can they find you around the internet to do so?
Yeah, DM me at on Instagram, GG Wellness, or email me at info@ggbwell.com.
And if you send an email past midnight, she will take note of that and she will say, are you getting enough sleep?
Please sleep. Email me in the morning.
During your morning routine. There it is. Gabby, thank you.